For all his sons and his daughters won't fill the cities with faces. Iniquities of they father, bloodthirstiest of our nation. Not for living water, waiting to put that work in. Hamashiach give us that order, prepare slaughter. For all his sons and his daughters won't fill the cities with faces. Iniquities of they father, bloodthirstiest of our nation. Not for living water, waiting to put this work in. Hamashiach give us that order.
Okay. They're both Muslim.
Okay.
Right. You want to answer that?
What, do we have conflict with them?
Yeah.
God has conflict with them.
Because
you guys are Islam? Yeah, God. So the children of Israel, or the Allah, he has problem with the people in Israel.
Right, because there's no peace there. Right? There's supposed to be peace.
No, because they're liars.
That's also, according to their understanding, they have kind of discrimination against black and brown people.
Yeah. You want to know why? Because they stole their identity. So they have to preserve the conflict between us and them so that we never come to the realization of the idea that that's actually ours, and then we want to go and take back what's ours. But again, we don't have to. We're going to wait on Allah.
So
that's the prophecy.
Based on what you said, originally you came from Egypt and the Middle East.
Well, originally we come from the land of Canaan, right? And then due to the famine, as the story goes, right, with Moses or Moshe, we then go into Egypt seeking refuge, and then out of Egypt, Allah delivers us.
So the land of Canaan was Iraq?
No, the land of Canaan was the land of Israel now, but originally it was the land of Canaan, right? Because remember, the promised land, promised from Allah to the children of Israel, they were promised to what? The land of Canaan. But that's where we originated. That's where Abraham comes from, right? The land of Canaan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people belong to your group?
How many people belong to our group? We are, according to the Bible, we are numbered as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or numbered. See what I'm saying? Cannot be measured nor numbered, but we are scattered to the four corners of the earth, and it's our job now to bring back our people's understanding, return back to Allah, so that he could perform the promise that he's already made to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Your group or your organization, do you have branches all over the world, or just in America, or just in
all over the world? Yeah.
So you can go to any country in the world and you find your group there?
Yes.
And the color of the skin is not part of the equation.
No. Look at him, look at me. Yeah, no, it's not. Remember, it's not a skin color, but when we use the term black, it's not talking about a skin color, it's talking about an ethnic background, or ethnic group, excuse me. You know what I mean? But why do we call ourselves black? If you understand how so-called black people got to America, were we calling ourselves black when we were over in the continent? No, the term black was forced on us after they took our identity away. That's why the thief.
I'll make it easier for you.
Right.
I used to teach at Howard University.
Okay.
So I know.
What did you teach?
Political science.
Huh?
Politics.
Politics. Okay. Yeah.
So now, the idea, you as a group are trying to take your rights back from Israel or
people,
fake people.
From people in general that had a hand in taking it away from us. See what I'm saying? Because it wasn't just the people claiming to be Jews. It wasn't just white people. It was a multitude of nations that had a part in playing how we got here and the position that we've been stuck and subjugated to. So me and you now have to talk in English. You see what I'm saying? Both of you guys know where you come from. You know your language, you know your customs, you know your history, everything. We don't know anything. But according to Allah, this is why we praise Allah, right? Because Allah gave us a sign of how we were going to remember ourselves, right? Are you guys familiar with Torah? Right? Go to Torah, Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Allah warned us, he told us, listen, no matter where I scatter you, no matter where you go, I'm going to put a mark on you so you'll always remember who you are, no matter what people do to you, right? Go ahead.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 45.
This is Torah, right? The book of Deuteronomy. Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee,
So the curses are going to come upon the people of Israel, right? Go ahead.
and overtake thee,
And they were going to pursue them and overtake them. Go ahead.
till thou be destroyed.
Until they were brought down and destroyed. That was the purpose, because they forsake Allah, right? Go ahead.
Because thou hearkenedest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
They did not hearken and listen to the voice of Allah. Read.
to keep his commandments,
To keep the commandments, right? They were commanded and supposed to be righteous. They didn't do that. So Allah punished them with curses. Go ahead.
and his statutes which he commanded thee,
Go ahead.
and they shall be upon thee for a sign,
And the curses are going to be upon the children of Israel for a sign. Go ahead.
and for a wonder,
And for a wonder. Read.
and upon thy seed
And upon their seeds, their children. Go ahead.
forever.
Forever. So no matter what happened, no matter where they were scattered, no matter what would happen to them, the curse was going to serve as a sign. So when we go into the curses, they didn't happen to the people over in Israel. The prophecy says that that both kingdoms of the children of Israel, the northern and the southern kingdom, they would walk out of captivity together back into the land. That didn't happen to the people of Israel. It's only one portion of the land, the Jews over there. All Israelites are not Jews. That's only a certain portion of them. So where's the rest of them? If they are those people. See what I'm saying? But we're saying the people that are there, which is only a portion, still don't fit the curses. They don't have the sign. They don't have the mark, according to Allah.
So those guys in Israel and Palestine now are fake quality, huh?
I wouldn't say fake quality, right? Because you're still wearing a jacket, but you can say whether it's great quality or poor quality. We're saying they're not a jacket at all. See what I'm saying? They're not a jacket at all to then say they're a poor quality of a Jew. No, they're not a Jew at all.
So they are not just only stole our land and occupy our land, they also stole your identity.
Well, I would say this. They stole our identity and they stole our land. Because according to Allah, the land is promised to us from the Nile to the Euphrates.
So what's your relationship with the good Jewish people in New York and who don't believe in Israel and don't believe in Zionism?
Say it one more time. What's my relationship with the Jews, with the good Jews in New York that don't believe in Zionism
and Israel? And
I don't think that I've ever interacted with them. I'm not sure if I have.
Know about them?
No, not from the way that you're explaining who they are. I'm not familiar. But again, our position is anybody that is against who we understand according to the prophecies of Allah of who the Israelites is, the people on this sign. Our relationship can't be too good, because then they become our enemies, because they are adverse to our position and our goal, which is taking our identity back and then taking our land back. Bring your precept out.
Book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
I know thy works and tribulation.
Because it was going to be a sign. So this is who the world calls Christ, right? For those that are messianic, or Isa, right? Isa says the works and tribulation are known of him, because it goes back to the curses that was going to be upon them forever, right? Tribulation, bondage, servitude, because of their disobedience to Allah. Again, they're clearly disobeying Allah every day. They're not even religious. And even those that are religious, they pervert their religion because they hide behind, oh, I serve God and I serve Yahweh, but they're doing all type of nasty, crazy things. But Allah said when you behave that way, you wouldn't be in the land. America and all of their allies took them back to the land in 1948. You were a professor at Howard on politics. I'm sure you understand what the Balfour Declaration was.
So
That's
now,
how they got back.
So now, if you have this background and this belief and this understanding, why don't you fight for it?
What do you mean, why don't we fight for it?
Because you are not major part of the equation in the national level or international level.
Watch this. Let me let this pass real quick. Are you familiar with the parable that Allah gave to Jeremiah Ezekiel, right? Right. Of the dry bones. right? Get Ezekiel 37. So I'm gonna show you. You said, so why don't you fight for it? In order to fight, you have to fight with what? What do countries fight with to establish their position in things?
Ideas and weapons.
Huh?
Ideas and weapons.
And weapons, right? But who are using the weapons? What is the group, what is the people that use these weapons to fight? It's called a what? Starts with an A. It's an army, right? The military. So us right now, we don't have no army, no military. We have to build and gather that up. And Allah told us about this according to the prophecy of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. Read it.
Book of Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 10 from the top.
Start from the top.
From the top. The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones.
In the midst of the valley. What's the valley? The low part, right? Between two pillars, two big things, right? So he says, I sat him down in the valley where the dry bones were. Because that's where the children of Israel is because of their wickedness and disobedience to Allah. They're now in the low, dark place, the valley, and their bones are dry. Go ahead.
And caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were many in the open valley. And lo, they were very dry.
It's a lot of them, and they were very dry in this low valley place. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, thou knowest.
So Allah asked Ezekiel, can these bones live? And Ezekiel says, only you know, Allah. Go ahead.
Again he said unto me, prophesy unto these bones.
Prophesy unto these bones. Go ahead.
And say unto them,
read.
O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.
Hear the word of the Lord. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord God unto these bones. Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you.
I'm going to give them breath. Read.
And ye shall live.
And I'm going to give them life. Because why are black people lifeless? Because we have no identity, we have no culture, we have no language, we sit at the bottom of the society that we're in, and we just have no problem with being in the dust, which Allah calls Sheol or hell, which is where you put what? Where you put dead people in the grave. See what I'm saying? We are in this low dead space, but he says when they get the prophecy, he's commanding them to live and he's giving them breath in his bones. You got, give me Wisdom of Solomon 7:24. Get it quick. Because we got to figure out what that breath of Allah is. Right? We got to figure out what the breath of Allah is that he was giving to the dry bones in the valleys. Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7 verse 12. And I
24.
Verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion.
Wisdom, the wisdom of God is more moving than any motion. Go ahead.
She passeth it and goeth through all things.
Passes and goes through all things. Read.
By reason of her pureness.
Of reason of her pureness. Go ahead.
For she is the breath of the power of God.
She is what?
She is the breath of the power of God.
The wisdom is the breath of the power of God. So Allah was giving these dry bones his wisdom. What's his wisdom? Now give me Deuteronomy 4 and 5. So we piece these things together exactly what Allah said, because we go back into that same book of Deuteronomy that says if we don't, the curses are going to be upon us for a sign forever. Right? So let's see what the wisdom is, because the wisdom is the breath of Allah. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 5.
Read.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God.
Our laws, right? It's the things that we have to live by to be in the best standing position with Allah. Because if we don't do them, he mad at us and he punishes us. Go ahead.
Even as the Lord my God commanded me.
Read.
That you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it.
Our land of Israel. Read.
Keep therefore and do them.
For what?
For this is your wisdom.
This is what?
Your wisdom.
This is your wisdom. Go ahead.
And your understanding.
And your understanding in what?
In the sight of the nation.
In the sight of all the other nations. Read.
We shall hear all this statute.
These nations outside of Israel, where it's going to hear our wisdom, they're going to hear it. Read.
And say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
They're supposed to look at us when we're following the commandments of Allah, and they're going to recognize us as wise and understanding. But how does the world look at black people? They don't look at us as we're wise and understanding. They look at us like we're deaf, dumb, and blind, because we are not following Allah's laws. That's why we are dry. That's why we are dead. And that's why Allah told Ezekiel, I'm going to speak and put my breath into you, and then you're going to live. Keep reading.
Verse 6, and I will lay sinews upon you.
Sinews, go ahead.
And I will bring up flesh upon you.
Flesh, go ahead.
And cover you with skin.
And he's going to cover your skin. He's going to bring back your appearance, your beauty, your identity, and everything that was supposed to make you wise and understanding in the sight of everybody. Because we lost that now. We're in a dead state. Dry bones. Go ahead.
And put breath in you.
Read.
And ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
You shall live, and then we're going to know that he's the Lord. Go ahead.
So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when
real quick, do you remember when Adam took Eve? He says, you are now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Do you remember when Jacob, right, went to his uncle Laban? He said, you are bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. So when these bones are being given breath, they've been given life, they've been given flesh and sinews. It says, and they were gathered together, bone of bone, is the assembly of our nation together. Because it's a perpetual divide and division, even amongst us, that is heavily responsible for the lack of who we are. If we knew who we are and we knew better, then we would do better. But we don't look at ourselves as anything. We look at ourselves as less than, as we were conditioned to. So then we treat each other less than. See what I'm saying? Remember, I have to love my neighbor as I love myself. But if I don't love myself, I could never love my neighbor. And that's why we need the breath of Allah, which is the wisdom of God, the law, statutes, and commandments, so that I know how to treat myself. Meaning what? I'm not going to eat certain things. Certain things I'm not going to dress. I'm not going to carry myself in a certain way. That's why Islam gets such a positive response from people, because there's order. There's discipline. See what I'm saying? You see how your wife carries herself? She's modest. She's in order. Power. You wouldn't like her if she was out here in a bikini with her pants undid and she was out here walking around looking crazy. No, because there's no discipline there. But when our people do that, we don't love ourselves. Therefore, we can never love one another. And that's what we're lacking. And that's the dry bones that Allah is doing with his breath. Read.
Verse 8, and when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above,
Read.
But there was no breath in them.
Go ahead.
Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man.
So then he says, now cast my spirit into the wind. Prophesy, right? Because people ain't really going to hear you. So that's fine. Just put my spirit out into the wind and let it be carried and fall on whoever is worthy to receive it. Go ahead.
And say to the wind, thus saith the Lord God.
Say unto the wind, thus saith Allah. Because it's not according to my words. It's not according to your words. It's Allah's words that's important. Go ahead.
Come from the four winds, O breath.
Come from the four winds, because these are all of the places that Allah scattered Israel for all of their wickedness. Go ahead.
And breathe upon these slain.
Read.
That they may live.
That they may live. Go ahead.
So I prophesied as he commanded me. And the breath came into them.
Read.
And they lived.
And they lived. And what else happened?
And stood up upon their feet.
They lived. These bones stood up upon their feet. Read.
An exceeding great army.
And they became an exceeding great army. So when you ask me the question, well, why aren't you guys fighting? We have to build up our army first. And when we do so, we don't even actually have to fight. Because by the time we build up, Allah is going to step in and do what he's already promised us from the beginning. Go ahead.
Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel.
These bones, remember, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, we are assembling the whole house of Israel. Not like the fake ones that only brought up a portion, and Allah didn't bring them back, but America did. Go ahead.
Behold, they say, our bones are dried,
Read.
and our hope is lost.
Our bones are dried, our hope is lost. That's why a lot of black people and even Hispanic people, you say, why don't you guys fight? Because we don't have no hope. So giving them the breath of Allah brings that hope back, brings that faith back, brings that strength back. Because without it, we're nothing. You want to know why? Because we think that that's our God. We think that that's Allah. And you guys know that's not Allah. But they had to do that to us to take our hope away, so that we would never want anything better than what he would give us, which was what? Shit. Nothing. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts.
We are cut off for our parts. Go ahead.
Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your grave
He's going to deliver us out of that low valley, that death, that place of death. Read.
and bring you into the land of Israel.
He's going to take it. He's going to take us back to Israel, not America. Go ahead.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves,
Read.
O my people, and brought you up out of your grave, and shall put my spirit in you.
And Allah's spirit is once Allah takes us back to the land, then His spirit is going to be within us. Show me the spirit of Allah in them people over there.
Before I go,
I got you. Go ahead.
In our religion, we believe at the end of time, before the day of judgment, Muslims will go back to Palestine and that area and control it, and Jesus will come down from the sky, whoever Jesus, based on the understanding. Now, if you follow the news in the Middle East, Israel is trying to tell us Muslims that we are the group of people that you will face in the future.
Right.
But in reality, they are not.
They're
they
not.
Are just a group of gangs, I don't know what it's called, the criminals from all over the world. America and the West brought them to our land, which is your land.
Which is our land.
Okay? So, in this understanding, you and I have the same interest and we have the same goal to show the truth that these people are criminals and they don't belong to any religious group, whether Christianity or Judaism or Islam. They are just gangs who try to occupy land and steal and take advantage of what's going on in the land itself.
In that regard, me and you share the exact same interests.
Exactly. So, have you ever tried to communicate with any, for example, in Islam, we have, in the Muslim world, we have an Islamic organization. It has 54 states. And in theory and even in practice, they are similar to what you are talking about.
Okay.
Because we have the same goal and we are fighting the same group who stole our lands, your land and my land.
Right.
So, do you have any communication with any international organization?
We do not have any communication with international organization, and reason being, the reason why you guys are able to do such a thing is because you're still established to a degree. So again, before we can go and make any other move of progress and go on to step 2, we need to go and assemble this army, bring life and breath back into these dry bones, and assemble ourselves as a nation so that when we step to the table with anyone, we're met with a level of respect.
Yeah, but what are you doing to establish this?
Again, you're seeing one portion of it, which is being out prophesying unto the wind so that that spirit can fall on those who are worthy to receive it.
That's right.
This is step 1. Once we accomplish or fulfill a good portion of step 1, then we can start moving on to establishing communication with international organizations or what have you. Though that's when those things will be possible, because we can't act as if that the Arabs did not have a part in how so-called black and Hispanics are here today. So it's not a thing where it's like, no, we don't want to. We're just saying we're going to learn from our mistakes and establish ourselves as something solid and firm first. Then we'll reach out, we'll contact you if necessary by that time. Because again, we do believe and we have complete faith that once we assemble ourselves as this army of God, you heard what we read. Allah then promised to take us back to the land. So why would we need to communicate with you guys if Allah is going to come and already do it?
Allah doesn't prevent you to communicate with others.
No, not at all.
Your goal.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. I'm just saying, if Allah has already told me that once I accomplish X, Y, Z, then He'll do it. I'm saying maybe at that time I might need to contact you. Maybe at that time I might not. I got to cross that bridge when I get there. But until then, I got to wake up blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians to their true identity as being the children of Israel, because there's a reward and a trust. There's a trust fund that Allah has in store for us waiting. And we have to go and fulfill certain things in order for us to have access to that trust.
Well,
You know what I mean? What was your name?
Majid.
Majid? Taz. Taz. All right, man. You guys have a blessed one. And with that, man, we give all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High God, but now Yahweh will do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, written name Yahweh Shai. And we say, Kwame Yashrala.
For all his sons and his daughters won't fill the cities with faces. Iniquities of they father, bloodthirstiest of our nation. Not for living water, waiting to put that work in. Hamashiach gives that order, prepare slaughter. For all his sons and his daughters won't fill the cities with faces. Iniquities of they father, bloodthirstiest of our nation. Not for living water, waiting to put this work in. Hamashiach gives that order.